And now I have the pleasure of introducing you to today's commencement speaker. Jane Coaston is a writer and political commentator who recently became a valued member of our Trojan family when she came to serve as a fellow at our USC Dornsife Center for the Political Future. She quickly became a favorite on campus for her quick wit, her good humor, and her passion for respectful political discourse across the aisle. Jane is a contributing opinion writer at the New York Times, and she brings her unique take to a variety of issues related to American politics. She's also the host of the popular New York Times podcast, The Argument, which offers context, analysis, and good faith engagement on current political debates. And she recently joined CNN as an on-air contributor for The Chris Wallace Show and other CNN shows. Coaston formerly served as a senior politics reporter at Vox, and her work has appeared on MSNBC, CNN, ABC News, NPR, The Ringer, BuzzFeed, The Washington Post. Pretty much if you've seen news, you've seen the news she's been on. And she has written for publications ranging from ESPN Magazine to the National Review. She is a graduate of the University of Michigan, holding a BA in History and Political Science with a focus on World War II. I hear some Michigan fans. And she currently lives in Salt Lake City, Utah with her husband. Please join me in welcoming Jane Coaston.
Thank you. Hello. And to whoever said woo about the University of Michigan over there, I see you and I hear you. First and foremost, class of 2024, you all look great. Those caps and gowns are really working for you. Thank you to Dean Miller, to USC Dornsife, and to the entire USC community for giving me such a warm welcome over the last few months. You are recent members of the Big Ten, and it really does feel like Big Ten country here, except it's warm, and there are palm trees, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to snow anytime soon. When I think about my own journey here, I think a lot about my grandmother, Sally Coaston. She wasn't famous, except in the church I grew up in. The church she desegregated single-handedly because her dream, her vision, was to build a far better life for her family than what she experienced in rural segregated Georgia in the 1920s. Now, she didn't know she could do it, and I'm sure she would have absolutely never assumed her granddaughter would be standing here in front of all of you. But on the day she walked into St. Anthony's and sat in the front pew, her pew, she was the right person at the right place, and she followed through. She had everything she needed to meet her moment. We live in consequential times, as I'm sure you know, but your time at USC will serve you well in how you live through these times. And encouragement, especially of each other, is a renewable resource. I graduated from college 15 years ago, which is not that long ago until I remembered that some of you were 6 years old. At my graduation, I was sitting in a seat much like yours. And admittedly, I was terrified. It felt like there were a billion paths forward, and 80% of them seemed scary as hell. I remember a few days after my graduation, my aunt called me and was like, "So what are you gonna do with the rest of your life?" To which I believe I said, "Oh, so sorry, my phone is dying, bye." I had spent 4 wonderful years meeting friends, reading books, writing papers, and working at a campus dining hall for my work-study job. And I knew I wanted to be a journalist. I knew more than anything that I wanted to understand people who thought differently than I did, and who believed firmly in creating an America I didn't entirely recognize. But when I was graduating, unless it had to do with tank warfare on the Eastern Front during the Second World War or getting honey off a dinner plate, I didn't feel entirely prepared to handle it. What on earth was I going to do to get where I wanted to go? I was good at school. I was good at college. But I wasn't sure if I'd be good at, life. But I was, and you are too, because you have time to grow into the person you hope you will be tomorrow. Let me say that again. You have time to grow into the person you hope you will be tomorrow. I am not... I am not the same person I was 15 years ago. There isn't an obvious path that leads from drinking Monster at 3 a.m., finishing my final papers, to writing for the New York Times and speaking on CNN. I still drink Monster, it's still good. But when those opportunities came, I was ready for them. It's not that I couldn't do those things before. It's that I didn't know how capable I was. I'm certain there are things you don't feel ready for right now, maybe even this ceremony. But the you that will do them, the you that is doing them, will be ready, because you'll catch up along the way. The work you've done, the lessons you've learned here, the conversations you've had with your roommates, that book you read that you ended up liking way more than you expected, that film you watched in class that was actually kind of awesome, those ideas, those memories, those are all yours to keep. A liberal arts education isn't good because you have it. A liberal arts education is good because of what you can do with it, what you can turn knowing a lot of things about knowing a lot of things into. Being able to write and argue effectively is a surprisingly rare skill, one that can be used in a lot of different ways. For me, that was a career as a journalist. But for you, that could turn into anything. And you have access to a massive community of alumni and supporters who are all around the world, but are still bound together by their experiences here in this place. But contrary to what some people will tell you or offer you as insight, you are not your job or your career. Let me say that one more time. You are not your job. You're way bigger and more important than what you wind up doing, even if your career happens to be your life's greatest passion. I've gotten to accomplish some of my most ambitious dreams, interviewing presidential candidates, writing for some of the best publications in the world. But that's not the full picture. And the most important things that have stayed with me from my time in college, and what I'm guessing will stay with you, were the relationships I formed in college. Relationships that grew and changed and flowered as we all grew up and somehow figured it out. One night in my senior year, I watched as one of my best friends met this girl he thought was pretty cool at a party. Or as I believe he put it, I don't know, she seems pretty cool or something. 6 years later, I officiated their wedding. And 8 years after that, I very carefully navigated the Chicago subway with their baby in a front pack as we all made our way home from dinner. The most rewarding elements of your college experience reveal themselves over time, in bits and pieces and moments, and in ways that might not be all in view right now, or even 6 months from now. Who you are in this moment is the culmination of years of hard work, dedication, countless sources of support, and whoever invented nitro cold brew. Who you are today is a graduate of the University of Southern California. You've been given all the tools to achieve dreams you haven't even formulated yet. Now, it's time to try all the things you came here dreaming about. Because although we all know the world gets a say, so much of who you are tomorrow is up to you. That might sound intimidating, but it's actually a tremendous gift. Fight on, class of 2024.